Fives, Severance by Theodore Shapiro, and Westworld by Ramin Djawadi.
Hello, my name is Mark S., and I have, of my own free accord, elected to undergo the procedure known as severance.
My number 5 is Severance.
Severance.
I'm
in.
Yeah. Severance, if you all listening aren't familiar, it's a Ben Stiller produced show, actually, which is kind of funny because he's hit and miss with me.
Yeah, same.
But it is brilliant. It's this kind of very retro kind of show where these people can have a procedure to cut off basically their memories.
It's an implant.
Yeah, and when they go to work, they are almost a different self, or they don't have memories of their
They're a
outside
different
life.
facet of themselves.
Yeah.
They are their work self.
Yeah, they call them their innies and outies.
Oh yeah, innies and outies, like belly buttons.
Yeah, basically. And so when they leave work, consequently, they don't remember anything that happens at work either, too. So
they don't even remember their coworkers necessarily outside of work.
They don't remember anything. And it has this lost kind of feel where you don't know really what the corporation's doing. They're trying to figure it out, but the speech in it, the diction is got this real kind of fun retro way of, and it's got Adam Scott from Parks and Rec and lots of stuff. He's brilliant. It's got some great people in it. It
does. Every single actor in that one was phenomenal.
Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
She's
so
Arquette.
Diverse. I love her. Versatile. I just love her.
Amid the chaos of that day, when all I could hear was the thunder of gunshots, and all I could smell was the violence in the air, I look back and am amazed that my thoughts were so clear and true, that 3 words went through my mind endlessly, repeating themselves like a broken record. You're so cool. You're so cool. You're so cool.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
I will never not think of her as Christian Slater and her in True Romance. That's the first thing I saw
I
her
always
in.
think of just Medium.
Yeah, that was her first big role.
Well, that was
or TV role or whatever.
I had those interests back then, so that's what I was watching.
I never did watch that. I need to go back and watch that one.
It's pretty good. Now it's not super funny. It's definitely very like drama and kind of serious, but she hooked me in True Romance though, because that's the one where she was a prostitute that I'm sure she's thrilled you said that.
hooked up with Christian Slater in it, and then they fall in love, and he tries to kind of rescue her from that world. They
tries
go on
to
the
save
run.
her.
Yeah, and that's how I was when I was younger back then. I wanted to save. I still am. Save everybody.
Yeah.
But the themes in it is, well, actually, we're going to take a break, and I'll remind everybody out there, definitely head over to our YouTube page where you've got this, all of these, the media and music from the episode. But if you want to hop over there, take a listen, and, actually, you'll be able to listen to it here because I'll layer it in. Ha ha ha.
Oh, really? Well, how could you do that when I've already come at you with this?
But we're going to break. We're going to take a listen, and we'll be right back. just took a listen, and it's just called Main Title. But this is what kind of kicked this off for me as I was watching this, and every time it came on, it was just so mysterious and the piano in it, and I've realized
almost disassociative in a way too, like mentally, like the elements of the music.
That's a good way to say that.
It's ambient, but not in the typical ways that we're used to thinking of ambience. You know, we're kind of. I have a different emotional association to that word, but here it's almost like a floating uncertainty, or what was the first thing I said? Can't remember the word now, but
mama.
Not my first word ever.
Disassociative.
Yeah, yes, disassociative. You know, it almost gives that mental disassociation, which is definitely the theme of the whole show. You know.
Yeah, it almost that. It almost has this like, wait, I know where it's going, but I don't. Mm-hmm. Like I should, but I don't. And that's kind of how they are in that.
Do they know that we know?
No.
They don't know that we know they know we know.
Kind of like shifting reality. Like, is it shifting now or was it shifted then? You know, like, yeah.
Well, and
carries you along those shifts, you know?
And one of the things that I was like, this is really cool because you all will see as we go through this list, is I'm so happy that there's, in recent years, I say recent, 10, 15 years, but
that's recent when you're our age.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so much more focus on the piano again. You're hearing it come up more and more in things now. And
some of the more raw instruments and not necessarily, raw and sort of original.
Yeah.
And not necessarily always done digitally or electronically,
Yeah, this return to classical almost. You'll hear that in some of the pieces. Yeah.
But modern classical.
Yes.
Which I love classical music, don't get me wrong, but that's all the classical that I've heard over the last 30 years of my life. And so to hear this more modern, and even the conversion of some of our modern, just regular, songs, other genre songs into a classical format. Kind of blow my mind a little bit. It's a new appreciation on the classical, Well,
and the other piece of this one that really hooked me is, you've got through a good piece of it, just kind of the piano and those little...
Almost like you're falling down the hole of not hip, like anesthesia almost,
Yeah, and you're kind of, like you said, you're almost waiting for that ball to drop, and then halfway through it, or maybe 3/4 of it, you hear that bass that kicks in, that...
Almost like a borderlining, melancholy sense of doom.
Yeah. But it's that, what you were saying, that merging of that classical piano with this modern bass that's mean and get
super
you riled
heavy
up.
And deep and well-rounded.
Rumble your tummy.
Tummy rumbling. It's got a really full sound,
Yeah.
Just literally hits you right in the diaphragm.
Yep. Well, and the fun thing about that one is it had a pretty good variety, but all of it was rooted in this kind of retro piano, unknown kind of feeling.
Because the whole, even as you're watching it, it's almost like you can't determine what the time period is. It is retro. They have retro kind of, some of the cars are older, but some of them seem they might be newer, but not new.
Yeah.
And even the outfits that they wear, they're very, kind of retro.
Yep.
Simplified types of outfits. And so it's really, it almost puts you in an unknown, floating, mysterious
as I am editing this episode, I was also recently listening to the podcast Settling the Score, and they brought up the 1974 movie The Conversation, and the score is by David Shire, kind of a spy thriller type movie, and the score in it was so just smooth and flowed, the way it kind of slowed down and sped up, and just so good. But it reminded me so much of Theodore Shapiro's writing in Severance. Well, and for those people that when they're in the corporate setting, they don't know. They almost don't even have any idea of what reality is outside of that. So it's whatever they
outside of their role.
Like they have this one thing where when they do something really good, they have a pancake breakfast celebration.
Waffle breakfast.
Yeah, waffles. Yeah.
The waffle, yeah.
And it's a waffle experience. They come in, they have this retro music playing, they're all dancing around, and
then one of them is like, they get the fruit, the fruit reward or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like always melon balls or something. Like, how excited can you get about melon balls? That's a reward.
But there's this sonic,
it's kind of dry in that way.
This sonic element to it, even when they have a person on staff that when they feel like somebody's starting to freak out a little bit, they'll go see this meditation specialist.
All right, Irving. What I'd like to do is share with you some facts about your Audi. Because your Audi is an exemplary person, these facts should be very pleasing. Just relax your body and be open to the facts. Try to enjoy each equally. These facts are not to be shared outside this room. But for now, they're yours to enjoy.
And she's got this real, obviously, sweet voice, you know, and it's all just kind of that ASMR, relaxing meditation kind of vibe to it that I thought was a really fun piece of it. Because it's all about
almost
mental control.
Almost kind of transient, yeah.
They go in, whenever they're in trouble, they go in and they have to repeat. They sit almost like we're sitting in a solitude environment. And I can't remember the guy's name, the African-American guy, but he'll tell them to read this statement where it's them saying, I am the only one that can be found guilty of, I have to, it's all my fault or whatever it is, and they have to repeat it like over and over.
So that's
brainwashing,
by the way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Totally. And that's the whole thing is kind of that way. That's what it's all about is brainwashing. And so that the music in it really captured that for me. And so it just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah. And it definitely, the music was definitely, though every independent moment of that show, the music exactly exemplified what was going on.
Yeah.
You could almost hear just the music and imagine, what is happening.
Yeah. And they had some good pieces in there where it would really exemplify that innie and outie, like kind of going back and forth. There was one piece.
The tipping of the balances.
Yeah, I can't recall the name of it. I'll insert clip here.
Yeah, right.
There's one of them that's really cool that way, where you can totally feel that push and pull struggle of it. And finding that
almost like the moral struggle,
And last thing I'll say about it on my side, at least, is Adam Scott knocked it out of the park. And I love now that you're starting to see, well, not now, it's been a while, but there's so many more people now that are coming from comedy but kind of backgrounds into these serious roles.
Yeah.
And, you know, they say that comedians are able to really do that really well because comedians, they tap into the human psyche. That's right. You know, they can touch all these different emotions because of that. They spend lots of time thinking about that.
Well, plus they have to act in a way their bits, right?
Yeah.
So as they're, you know, doing their comedy role or whatever, like you still, just because they do comedy doesn't mean that it's not still a measured, you know, they're doing it for an audience, you know, so they're eliciting or attempting to elicit a response. They still have to put themselves in a certain frame of mind or a certain, you know, project in a certain way that they can get that conveyed to the audience.
Yeah.
To get back the response that they're looking for, you know. This is all like acting in that way.
Yeah. All right. Ready to move on to your number 5?
Let's do it.
Your attention, please. We will soon be landing at Westworld, the ultimate resort.
We have you on grid 5, over.
It consists of 3 worlds of the past.
Logging in now.
Worlds where you can live out your every fantasy. There's Roman world, the lusty, decadent delights of imperial Pompeii.
Notify ground crews.
Medieval world, chivalry and combat in 13th century Europe. And Westworld, lawless violence on the American frontier of the 1880s. Each resort is maintained by reliable computer technology and peopled by lifelike robot men and women.
Let's stand by for resort activation. Ready on 6, on 5, on 4, on 3, on 2. Activated.
We know you'll enjoy your stay in Westworld, the ultimate resort, where nothing can possibly go wrong.
Shut.
Go wrong.
Raw.
Go wrong.
Oh my God. Shut down. Shut down immediately.
All right.
My number 5 is... Wait, what? Is that main title theme? Is that a pretty common thing for...
Yeah, a lot of times they won't have an actual name of the song if it's just the theme for the show.
Yeah, okay. I always look forward to the actual names. But
yeah, I know. It's a little lackluster in the creativity in that department.
But Westworld by, what is that? Ramin...
Djawadi.
Interesting. Okay. I would have gotten there eventually, but thanks for the help. Yeah. So it's main title theme. Oh my gosh. This
one hit us hard.
So hard. Like a ton of bricks, really. It was so like, let's get on this train. We're going to carry you by notes. And instruments. And it had a lot of simple elements, but it also had a lot of really complex emotions.
Well, before let's take a pause. We'll listen to it.
Yes.
And come back and chat about it. But one thing I did want to say that I think is really cool about this one too is there's a lot of themes throughout this episode of paying homage to older things.
Yes.
And Westworld was that was a movie before in the 70s, I think.
Oh, was it?
I
didn't know.
And it's a Michael Crichton book, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes. I did not know that either.
I haven't actually ever watched the movie. I've seen bits and pieces of it. We should watch it sometime just to see. But, you know, I think a lot of people probably understand what it's about, but basically... I don't know. Do you want to explain kind of?
Yeah. It's really kind of fits into the whole like AI, AR, you know, augmented reality. But it's like a modern Western. Well, it's modern world versus Western augmented reality and robotics, or what do you even call that? Like biomechanics or something?
Yeah, androids almost.
Yeah, but it's the...
and I guess android kind of almost depicts a type of intelligence, and they're not supposed to really have that conscious piece, but they start to develop that.
Almost like an AI does.
Yeah.
And so, they start out as, it's kind of like an android. They have code. They're, operated by certain scripts.
And they build a park where people can come and attend.
It's the people's fun park, basically.
Exactly.
It's the escape from the modern real world, which supposedly, I guess, it suffered some kind of, was it like apocalyptic? I don't know, post-apocalyptic.
I don't know if it actually was that as much as just kind of dystopian a little bit.
Yeah, dystopian. Yes, dystopian is probably a better word.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was very, very fun. The approach and the creativity.
Anthony Hopkins.
I do not understand the things that I feel. Are they real? The things I experienced, my wife, the loss of my son.
Every host needs a backstory, but how do you know that? The self is a kind of fiction for hosts and humans alike. It's a story we tell ourselves, and every story needs a beginning. Your imagined suffering makes you lifelike.
Lifelike, but not alive. Pain only exists in the mind. It's always imagined. So what's the difference between my pain and yours? Between you and me?
This was the very question that consumed Arnold, filled him with guilt, eventually drove him mad. The answer always seemed obvious to me. There is no threshold that makes us greater than the sum of our parts, no inflection point at which we become fully alive. We can't define consciousness because consciousness does not exist. Humans fancy that there's something special about the way we perceive the world, and yet we live in loops as tight and as closed as the hosts do. Seldom questioning our choices, content for the most part to be told what to do next. Well, no, my friend, you're not missing anything at all.
And so we live on. A piece of our soul survives in everyone we have ever encountered. That soul fragment is the strongest, most recognizable in the people who loved us. This form of life after death is one we can all relate to, whatever our religion. But is there some other resting place for the soul? Does our consciousness just shimmer out of existence in our last moments on earth? Is the soul nothing more than a network of neural processes, something that one day can be recreated in a machine? Or does the quantum state of our brain get reabsorbed into the universe at large? Scientists believe they are finally getting close to solving this puzzle, even though they passionately disagree about the answer.
Every single actor in
Ed
that.
Harris.
Yeah.
What's the main actress's name?
Just Tandy Newton.
No, she's great too.
Yes.
I know she dated Marilyn Manson.
I know. I just was thinking that too. And it's a three name. I think it's three names, right?
Sure.
No, it's like I feel like it's like close to a guy name or something. Hold on, let me look it up. It's because it's long.
I never forget her face.
I know.
She's very striking.
I'm thinking of it right now. She is very striking in a
intense,
unassuming, but yes, intense kind of way. She has a very direct look, like the eyes. That makes a big difference. Anyway, So it sort of, then those lines start to, Evan Rachel Wood.
Evan
is a guy name.
Yeah, that's probably why it's hard for us to think of it.
Although she wears it beautifully, but yeah, Evan Rachel Wood, and she's phenomenal. Like, I've even, caught up on some other things that I didn't realize was her in those roles.
Well, and that was a show that, you know how some actors, we've talked about this before, that win you over and you first see them, you're like, I'm not sure you're that great. And it always depends on the role and all that. And it was the dude, I can't remember his name either, but the dude that played Cyclops in the X-Men movies, but he's the love interest in the first season. Remember the cowboy guy?
The dark-haired guy?
Yeah. Every time I think of him in X-Men, though, I can just remember the scene with him and, oh my gosh, I can't think of
James Marsden, Teddy. Talking about Teddy?
What's his name?
James Marsden.
I'm not sure I ever knew that.
He's the one that played in Dead to Me.
Yeah.
Right? And he that guy? And he's super funny and quirky in that. And it's a very different role than what we see him here. But I hear that name a lot, but I never ever associate it to that face.
Every time I think of in him in X-Men is when he interacts with Wolverine.
Hey, it's me. Prove it. You're a dick. Okay.
That's how he knew it was really him or whatever. But anyway, all right, well, let's pause. Let's take a listen to the Westworld theme, and we'll be right back.
Let's do it. Do you even have to say anything after that?
I mean, it's just so
all-encompassing.
This is your pick. I'll let you go first on this.
I mean, it's just it's a soft embracing of the unknown of what's about to come. Definitely a sense of doom in that one. But then at the end of that theme, it's almost like, or I guess kind of in the middle, it gets kind of chaotic for a second. Like, everything's up in the air right now, you know?
Well, and it brings in that super classical element there, where it starts doing that little descending pattern.
Yeah.
And then after that, when the regular music kicks in, it still carries that on with the strings of that. It's just, talk about paying homage. It's that blending of the old and the new so well in that theme.
It is. And it also, it sort of gives a foreshadowing of the breaking up of the different scenery, too. It almost like different parts of it represent different sceneries in within the series. So it's really definitely a very...
it's emotional.
It's very emotional, but it's very descriptive.
It tells the story through it.
And that type of theme, not just the song or the score, but that type of theme basically encompasses like all the music throughout. It has that very classical, you know, some of it's kind of got a saloon.
Yeah, it's very Western classical mix of things.
Right. And
well, speaking of the saloon, sorry to interrupt, but one of the things I know that you really loved about this, again, paying homage to things, is that in the saloon, the piano would always play modern music.
Yeah, so I have
they would do covers of it.
Right now that I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
One of them was Heart-Shaped Box, right?
Yep.
And then,
Heart-Shaped Box from Nirvana. I think they maybe did a Radiohead song. Oh, didn't they do Creep?
They did Wicked Game, Wicked Game by, yep. I think that one may be in the last season. I can't remember.
Might be.
Hold on just a second, because I have it just.
Well, while you're pulling that up, even just the way it first starts is like just the octave on the piano, the low piano. Like,
you're in forever.
It's always cool.
Yeah, it is.
No matter what. But it's like an announcement. Like, here we go. We're about to go on this ride.
I know.
And to me, the melody, though, you can tell, like, Ramin just has this just such a grasp on the ability to create these good melodies that
that's almost like the soft side of Westworld, you know, like the feminine. So it's almost like the feminine side versus the masculine, but with both of those being within the females because there's a very strong female presence in that show, which is really fun. It's, all the different personalities, quote unquote, that these AI essentially adopted.
And speaking of the visual element, I mean, that intro is almost might be number one. I mean, it's just so good visually to match with the music. They even have some of the piano pieces being played, but
it would definitely be. I think it's my second, but only because one of our other selections, one of my other selections, I'm not going to mention yet, preceded it, and it was sort of the beginning of those real intricate, long visual. Fun intros, they were using that space of credits and things like that wisely by incorporating the music, the themes, the complex intros that were, I couldn't look away from them, even though they were, not the same every time, because I think that some of them changed from either season to season or episode to episode, but they were just, beautiful.
Well, and what a cool way, what a smart way, whether that was, I don't know if that was the directors, Lisa Joy and Nolan, something, the showrunners, if it was their idea or Ramin's idea to do those cover songs.
Yes.
But black hole sun, won't you come, wash away the rain, black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come, won't you come? Stood a ring.
So well encapsulates what the show was of this, hey, there's this exterior, but that's actually not what, there's a whole other thing going on underneath it. And that's what those, those kind of cover songs were, is like, oh, here's this pretty classical or saloon type song.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
and you had to listen really hard
to
pick them out, because there was a couple of times that I had to go back and be like,
but wait,
did I hear that?
That's Yeah, I think that's something else.
I was also impressed with myself because I was like, I can't believe I was able to pick that out. Like with everything else going on, you know, in the scene, that was almost like an afterthought. And it was so good. When I caught on to that, I was like, now I have to go back through the episodes and try to figure out how many of those songs there are.
Yeah.
And there's a whole playlist. We'll definitely include that because it's
there's several of them.
But several that are songs that we, you know, grew up with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And that was another form of that song that I could listen to. So now I can get double pleasure out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but and I don't want to put all the emphasis on the covers. I mean, Ramin just did a great job, but that theme just captures the innocence plus the chaos so well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Anything else for you on that one?
Westworld, main theme, one of my top faves.
Yeah, great way to start off your list. All right, well, we'll get into my number 4.